This episode is brought to you by Skinny Pop Popcorn. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Oh, so light and crunchy. Skinny Pop Original Popcorn is the snack you've been searching for. Made with just 3 simple ingredients: popcorn kernels, sunflower oil, and salt. Snacking never felt or tasted so good. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Give yourself permission to snack and pick up Skinny Pop Original Popcorn today.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lori Watson and the co-host of Foreplay.
I'm your co-host, George Fowler, former firefighter, your couples therapist who loves to talk about sex.
Woo! Let's discuss everything about the best sexual techniques to building your emotional intimacy, which is really necessary for great sex.
We bring sound, concrete tools to reframe your relationship problems and learn how to fall in love again and feel desire.
Listen to Foreplay Radio on the iHeart app, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey everybody, thank you for listening to this episode of Marriage Therapy Radio. I'm Zach. I'm here with Laura. Usually don't like to do 2 interviews in a row, but this one was a little too on the nose to skip it before Thanksgiving. We're talking to Craig Smith, who is from Greatest Day Mindset, and I am obsessed right now with mindset. In fact, I'm having a little bit of a challenge to figure out how to help couples bridge the gap between the way they think about their marriage and their relationships and then what they actually do. Craig has some really great ideas. Blew my mind a couple of times. He has a journal that I think you ought to put your hands on, particularly if this is an area of growth for you or an area that you hope to have growth. But even the way he thinks about like the Instagram and these kind of memes or quotes that come up and are meant to encourage and inspire us, like what do you actually do? It's got me thinking, and I hope it'll get you thinking. This is a very cool conversation. Stick around.
Craig meet Zach, Zach meet Craig.
Hey, Craig.
Good morning.
Hey, how's it going?
It is good. Good to see you. Just not on the back of your book.
Yeah.
So this is good.
I'm handsome on the back of my book too. You caught me today. You caught me in with my not quite showered and getting ready to work out. So
Good for you.
sorry about that.
Still a handsome bearded man. So we're good.
A handsome bearded man. People, here's the interesting part is I'm pretty sure that I compliment you quite a bit on your appearance, Zach, because I like to compliment people on their appearance. But so people know that I think you're a handsome guy and that you look good from time to time. I'm pretty sure everyone's like, we don't know what Laura looks like. I have no idea.
Well, actually, first of all, you compliment me when you want to let me know I look better than I usually look.
That's true.
That's when you compliment me. You're like,
That's a
usually
compliment.
you look scruffy and overweight and tired, but
Yeah.
today
Yeah.
you look
Your
really
face is
great.
really leaning out. You look awake
There you
today.
go.
Yeah.
I was just talking to a couple about this yesterday in my office about I encouraged the husband to not only praise his wife when she gets dressed up.
Oh. And to tell
Okay.
her that
Because
she looks good in her gray sweatpants?
Don't even compliment the looks specific, like the overall.
Also tell her you're proud of her. Also tell her thank you. And also
Yes.
tell her that she's a great mom. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Earrings, the lipstick color, not the package that is being presented, but
Okay.
the little things. Because then it's like what you just said. Oh, so I'm ugly all the other days.
Totally.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
very interesting.
The worst part is when you tell somebody that they look lean or like, wow, like you're, and they're like, what, was I fat before? Like, why are you?
Yeah. No, that's
Oh,
that's my experience of your compliments, by the way.
Well, I mean, it is sort of my backhanded way of congratulating you on
It's what do they call that? A complimental?
compliments. Like a
Complimental.
yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. Craig, I want the world to know who you are. Let's see here. I'll give a little background. So I met you, it must have been like 4 years ago. It's been a bit in Salt Lake.
I'm honored that you think it's been that long, but no.
What? What?
Probably 2.
No. I lived in Salt Lake, right?
No, you came in for one of the 7 principles workshops.
That means, Craig, I've known you for like 30 whole minutes because it's only been 15, but you have like this impact where you're
That's
double.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we've known each other for years, Zach.
Right on. Right on.
Yeah. So Craig.
So Laura, probably 10 years we've been friends.
Oh, yep. 10 years. And it was probably like a common friend, a mutual friend that said, hey, if you're interested, you're a therapist, you should go meet Laura. And so you came to one of the 7 principles workshops and you just kind of soaked it up. And then you actually became certified to do the 7 principles workshops too, right?
Yeah, I just finished that this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing that I love, Zach, about Craig in particular is that I think that you have a really amazing way of speaking to people in a way that's motivating, that's welcoming. And I kind of feel like when people feel stuck, I'm like, go see Craig. He's going to unstuck you. He's going to put a smile on your face. Because I feel like people probably leave your office really stinking energized. And that's not the case with every therapist that you encounter. But either way, I wanted our listeners to be able to kind of glum on to your expertise and what you're pumped on and see if there's something that you have that you could offer our listeners.
Okay, but I'll go ahead and bite and just say, who are you? Like, what's your deal?
All right, go ahead. Yeah. How would you describe yourself?
All right. Well, first, thank you. Like, one of the big things, I do pride myself on that. I think when people leave, it's almost like they had an experience of like, I'm the jumper cables to their life. Like they come in and I get them energized. We get them just clearing up a little of the barriers in their mind and get them a little bit of that hope restored and maybe a little bit of that, positivity back in their soul. And then they leave and try to go make something of it.
You're like if Ted Lasso was a therapist.
Oh.
Don't shame me. I don't know anything about Ted Lasso.
Well, it's because you're busy being a father to small people and you don't have the time to watch Ted Lasso. Zach, on the other hand, he's done. He's checked out from parenthood. Just kidding.
Yeah. Mine are 14 and 19. So I'm just like,
no way. Like, I love listening. I've been listening for a long time to the podcast and I love hearing, Zach, when you talk about real life examples that you like walk your daughters through. Like, I love it. So you can't fool me, cool. Laura. So who am I? I'm a hope spreader, a love giver. I'm just trying to help people eliminate the barriers right in front of them and know that we can make the most of today and step into tomorrow a little bit better. But I get paid to do that with people. Mm-hmm. But I'm a father of 3 boys from
so lucky
5 to 11 years old. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm anti-boy. Did you catch that part, Craig, on the podcast that I think boys are the worst?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. So, but somebody needs to raise them. So I'm glad it's you.
And it's all the daughters I don't have are so lucky that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So
maybe the universe knew what it was doing. Hey, I have a question. So you get paid for this. What'd you say? You're a hope spreader and a what?
A love giver.
Love giver.
Okay, but why? What's true about you that is true? Like, it's not that you get paid, but like, where did that come from in you that you're a hope spreader and a love giver?
Yeah, we're going into it. So
yeah, we are.
The reason
I need more of that in my life. So I'm interested. I'm like, that's nobody would ever describe me as being a hope spreader and a love giver. So I'm just 100%. Interested in knowing where that comes from.
Laura's like, absolutely. You are not that.
Nope.
So I didn't, this is probably another reason I have 3 sons is I think God knew that I didn't have or know a father growing up. Like I just showed up. Immaculate inception. No, I didn't. But I didn't. There was no father for me, no dad. And so I really had to figure a lot of things out along the way. And I was just kind of always that. I was kind of that positive person. Like, let's make the most of what we can and have, kind of because I had to. But then I got thrown into this mentorship of a teenage boy in a residential center. I was in the kitchen, working in the kitchen, and he asked me to mentor him. I'm like, sure, let's do this.
Awesome.
And when I started to see his eyes.
Wait, you're the teenage boy or he's the teenage boy?
He's the teenage boy. I'm 20.
Okay.
Working in a residential center. And he asks me, hey, can you mentor me 1 hour a week? So we just start hanging out and spending time together. And I start seeing a shift in his energy and his eyes and just that hope kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I thought I think I could do this for a living. So then I looked into it, went and got my psychology degree, a social work degree. And I do that with people and some of them pay me for that. So that's kind of where it came though. It's like tapping into, I think I can have an impact on people. And I experienced that. And it just lit a fire in me.
Yeah.
So when you meet people and let's just say I'll ask you this question. Who's your ideal client? Somebody sends you an email and says, hey, Craig, Laura recommended you. And you're like, cool. What's your deal? Who's going to be the ideal person where you're like, I can transform your life?
The stuck people. They're like, I don't know if I need to be in therapy. I'm just not sure. I can't really figure it out. I'm like, I love it. I love it. You're lacking clarity, which is why you lack direction. Let's get some clarity. I love those people, whether it's relationship, because I love working with couples as well. And even then, they're like, I don't know. We just feel a little off. Like we're not in total crisis mode. There's just a little something going on. I'm like, it's clarity. Let's find it. So let's clear some of that stuff out of the way. I love those people.
I love that because I think, we've been spending a lot of time over the last couple months inside of the Gottman Sound Relationship House and trying to make sense of it and help people understand. And there's a part that I think that we collectively as couples therapists don't teach very well. And it's the clarity part, right? It's the top part where it's like make life dreams come true and create shared purpose. And so I'm interested to hear about how do you bring clarity, or how do you invite couples or people to clarity specifically? Do you have a path that you put them on?
Yeah. I like to think of this idea of a value-driven life. I think there's a book, The Purpose-Driven Life.
Purpose-Driven Life is a great one.
It's probably
did a book club.
Oh, it is right there on my bookshelf. Warren. But I like a value-driven life. What are the values that you want to be driven by? And you'll know that because your actions will match. So I can tell you your values in life by just watching your actions. If they're not aligned or congruent, one of them has to change. So we just go back to what is the value? What's some of the values that you started this relationship or just in your life in general with? And are we living that? Are our actions aligned and congruent with those values that you're talking about in your marriage or in your life in general with individuals? And that's a pretty good start for people going, no, not really. I want to be a runner and I value my health, but I'm kind of drinking a lot, or I'm smoking. I don't even know why I don't even like that. Those kinds of things. Or in marriages, right? I want to have that connection and I just feel like we're drifting apart. And what's your screen time like? Or how often have you had date night? And when's the last time you had a non-sexual hug and kiss? They're not aligned. And so we just get back to kind of some of the basic stuff.
So how are we going to do that? I mean, you said your behaviors oftentimes will align with your values, but not always. I mean, if you're feeling stuck and your value is health and wellness and you're a smoker and you haven't, gotten off the couch in 6 months, then your behaviors aren't matching your values. What do you have some kind of a way for people to begin to kind of understand what their sort of core values are in their life? Is there a worksheet? Is there a TED Talk? I'm just kind of wondering because people don't talk like this. They don't think about values on a regular basis. That's their speak, pretty woo-woo. But how are our listeners supposed to connect with understanding or identifying their values?
Yeah, I think this is where I'm all about coaching and I do some coaching and I think this is where we miss the value of a trained professional who can walk through some of these stories and walk through some of these things about, I don't know what my values are. So it's almost what if we really defined a value, it's just how much importance you put on a thing, right? How much is this thing worth to you in your life? And so we just start there and it becomes kind of that narrative that talk therapy stuff, and it just starts to unfold a little bit. So there are some things online, you can go do a values assessment, and I don't know where, Google it, but
I just got into a conversation with the couple the other day about this because I created or wrote this values worksheet or exercise little PDF thing because I was trying to figure out how to do this better, and I gave it to them and I was like, tell me what you think. Basically, I gave a test run. I said, I'd love to know. And she came back and she told me what she thought. And I was like, oh, wait, I wasn't actually asking you to tell me what you think. What she said was, I have a problem with this part and this part doesn't work exactly. And I think if you move this over here, that would be good and blah, 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 blah. And we talked, and then she said, and then we talked about this and then that happened. And then I was really confused about how he said this. And I was like, are you telling me that the two of you spent a half an hour discussing values over top of this PDF? And she's like, yeah. And I was like,
done.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the win. You did it. And and so of course I have all this editing to do, but I wanted to reflect back to them that they didn't have to agree with the expert they had to carve out time to spend time figuring out what they really thought about their value set. They were like, yeah, we really don't think parenting is a value. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. Parenting is an activity. It's a role. It's a thing, but it's not it's not a value, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So we had this, and I was like, so fine, I'll take it off the list or whatever. But I think you're right. It almost doesn't matter what the tool is, right? It matters that they figure out how to pick it up and turn that into the pursuit of clarity.
Yeah. There's 168 hours in a week. Like, what are you doing outside of an office? The 1 hour in an office, they spend a half an hour. Like that's the work. People are doing the work.
Yeah.
You guys have had it working with couples where they walk in and it's like, okay, fix him or fix her or fix us.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
we got an hour together, maybe. And in couples, I usually see them every other week. So it's like,
Me too.
we got 2 hours a month out of, I don't know, do the math, 374 or something.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
The work happens outside.
People always ask me, how long is this going to take or how often should we meet? And I was like, honestly, there's no answer to that question. I mean, if you go to a personal trainer and you say, hey, I want to get my mile pace down to, 7 minutes, are you starting at 16 minutes or are you starting at 8? And B, are you motivated to go run and train and eat right and get plenty of rest and water on your own when you're not running, training with me? So,
and how much of a value it is, how important it is to have a 7-minute mile. Because if it's not, it's going to be really hard to get there.
Oh, your why, right? Is it external? Is it internal? Okay, I have to ask you this question because, Zach, I don't think you have this book in front of you, but I have this book. This is it's called Focus. This is the Focus. Do you call it a journal? I feel like it's a journal.
Yeah, it says it right on the title.
Oh, does it? Oh, it's a guided journal.
You actually, read.
It's changed, right? You've edited it.
It's changed because you look at yours and you're like, I didn't see the word journal, and I knew that, and so. I dropped the words down out of the image because you couldn't see it.
Yeah.
So,
well, and just about every page inside, it says journal reflection. So yes, it's a journal. Why did you develop this? Why did you write this journal? I mean, what's the whole reason behind, just walk me through this journal of how you intend for folks to use it. Because the cool part is that when I was on Instagram, I would see all of these mutual Instagram. Yeah. I would see all these mutual people and they're like, they have their morning routine and part of their morning routine was writing in their focus journal. I'm like, dang, Craig, you are brilliant. And they're using it and they're doing it. What is the reason behind this? What is the purpose?
It's back to that 168 in a week.
Yeah.
And I only get my client maybe 25 people a week. I don't know, 30 on a heavy week. I only get that many people in 1 week, maybe every other week. And I wanted to fill in the gap of in between our sessions.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm driving to work one day and I get this thought, I need to reach more people. Okay. So I need to reach more people. What would I do with all those people I could reach?
Mm-hmm.
And then the journal was born in my mind. It was like, well, I'd walk them through a gratitude exercise. I'd have them speak kind and powerful words to themselves, the affirmations. I would tell them to celebrate themselves. There's too many good things happening in their lives that they're not celebrating. And if you want to really create momentum in your life, you better celebrate what you're doing. And so these are the prompts inside the journal, those 3 things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I love quotes. So I put a little positive quote at the end and said, reflect on this. What are you going to do with these words?
Okay.
I think everybody can agree that on the Instagram, or is it the Instagram? On the gram, that we see all these fancy uplifting quotes, or you see something. And then if I were to ask most people, do you remember that quote you were excited about 10 minutes ago? They wouldn't have a clue what it was.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to call people to action on these quotes and say, what does it mean to you? What does this quote actually mean to you? And how will you apply it in your life today?
Okay.
What are you going to do about it? Create some action based on this. And Laura's in the journal, by the way. She, I don't know where, because I've updated where they're at. I hope you made the cut on this latest one.
Fingers crossed. If not, you pinged me and you're like, what's a great Laura quote? Zach's been asking me for great Laura quotes for months now, and I have no idea. I don't have any good quotes, but you have me in here somewhere with Eleanor Roosevelt, apparently. Yeah.
So that's where the journal came from. It was like, if I could reach as many people as possible, what would it look like? And how could I like walk them through like a daily practice that I think would be impactful and create change, like real change. And so the prompts in there's plenty of research about gratitude, positive affirmations. Like I think if you're alive, you've heard about this stuff, about how beneficial they are, but only when you do it. And so the intimidating part of a blank page, I wanted to eliminate as well. And so that's why this guided approach inside of a journal.
The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is,
"Thank you for calling. Please listen to your list of 46 possible service options."
which is why when you choose USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable. 24/7 online service for claims, access to roadside assistance, and more. All at the touch of a button. Start getting the service you deserve. Get a quote today. Ability to receive a quote depends on membership eligibility. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
This episode is brought to you by Skinny Pop Popcorn. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Oh, so light and crunchy. Skinny Pop Original Popcorn is the snack you've been searching for. Made with just 3 simple ingredients: popcorn kernels, sunflower oil, and salt. Snacking never felt or tasted so good. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Give yourself permission to snack and pick up Skinny Pop Original Popcorn today.
I like it. Tell me about positive affirmation, because there's a lot of like gratitude sort of practices and science behind that. And I imagine it lines pretty stinking well with your jumper cable modality of maybe that'll be a whole new thing. Like we have CBT, we're going to have like CST, that's Craig Smith therapy, jumper cable therapy.
JCT.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about gratitude, like your idea behind why this needs to be a daily practice so much that it makes it into the journal.
Yeah. As far as a formal written practice, I don't think it needs to be daily because the research suggests that as well, that daily, it kind of loses impact when you do something daily.
Okay.
It creates, by not doing it daily, so maybe every other, and I encourage people, if not every other, don't let 3 days go by without. Okay. You can win the week, like 4 days you do it, 3 or not. It's way more powerful than 7-0, 6-1.
Mm-hmm.
Because it kind of creates this like excitement and anticipation, and you feel the impact of it when you've had a little gap. And so in habit formation and all that positive psychology stuff, it supports that. So it's not necessarily a daily thing.
I've never heard that before, and I really am like digging on that. It's just giving me permission to steal it. Yeah, it's like permission to lower the bar just a tiny bit. It seems much more achievable when you say it doesn't have to be every day. Like you do it every other day, or maybe, every third day. And for me, I was like, oh, that's achievable. Because I think some people just write it off. If you say do it every day and they're like, nah, can't do that. Screw that. That's not going to happen. Yeah. And then they write it off.
The athlete in me or the competitive guy in me is like, oh yeah, you can win 4-3. You don't have to win 7-0.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, even think about a month, right? That's like, oh gosh, I got to do math.
You're not good at math. I'm already identifying
17 to 13, right? Like 18 to 12, maybe.
Yeah.
Not many of us are wired for accepting like failure. And it's really not. It's not failure. It's like, yeah, you
well, I tell couples all the time, like sometimes I'll use like a report card where people come in, I'll go, how we doing? And they'll say C-. And what we have to overcome 2 things. And one is atrophy, because I've got a C-, I'm never going to get an A. So I might not even try.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm just going to like bail, but then but I'm like, wait a second, you can get a C.
Mm-hmm.
You can go from C- to C. That's still better than it was, say last week or the last time you were in here. So I think giving people little ways to measure and acknowledge and appreciate success, it's really helpful. The other thing, Craig, that I think is interesting is just thinking about the power of positive energy, because we are just wired to. I made the mistake of going back and reading some reviews. I don't know how I ended up on our podcast page, but I was reading and I was like, geez, Louise, man, what? Because it really is sort of this 5-to-1 thing. There's this one new one that is, it's silly in its scope, but I'm thinking about it all the time. And so we have to do something to kind of pivot that. And if it's just take on gratitude or positivity. But my point basically is sometimes I'll talk to people and I'll say, how you doing? And they'll say C-. And I go, okay, why isn't it a D+?
Mm.
And then they have to tell me what's going well or what they did right or how it's better. And I was like, all of that is good news. Like, and even if they say B-, I'm like, why isn't it a C+? All of that is good news. So what they're ultimately saying to me is C-, it's not an A. And I'm like, no, it's not an A. It's also not a D+. And so what can we celebrate or enjoy or call out even when we're low?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what gratitude does, is it shows us what we do have when we don't think we have much. It shows us what we're capable of when we think we're capable of nothing. Like that's the power of gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The part though, that I think a guy like me is going to, or anyone who is even kind of wired like me is going to think is like, rainbows and sunshine and like puppies. That's give me a break. One part about gratitude is that when you do it in the 168, if you spend an hour just journaling or thinking through, it's not only a positive hour that you've used to like journal through stuff, but you've choked out, you've suffocated 60 minutes of time to focus on what's not going well. Like you're literally starving that thing for energy. And so there's this other hidden benefit of spending time doing this sort of positive thinking, kind of mindset training, which basically just steals time away from that negative energy that wants to feed, right? If I'm feeding this one thing, I don't have food left over for the negative thing. And I think that was a big thing for me, because I definitely am like a positive thinking, give me a break kind of guy, until I realized that, if I do that, I'm actually robbing the negative thinking machine from any fuel,
Yeah. I love that. That's a great way to look at it too.
It's funny that you said mindset because, Craig, did you show him your shirt? What does it say?
Oh, this one?
Yeah. Greatest day mindset. So this is the like the branding behind Craig. So if you can't find Craig, you just look for greatest day mindset. You know that Zach and I are huge fans of getting support, and that is why we have partnered with BetterHelp to put you in contact with licensed professional counselors in your area. Tap into the world's largest network of licensed, accredited, and experienced counselors who can help you with a range of issues, including depression, anxiety, trauma, grief, relationships, and more. With BetterHelp's counselors, you get the same professionalism and quality that you would expect from an in-office counselor, with the ability to communicate when and how you want, whether it be messaging, through the phone, or video conferencing. The matching process is quick but thorough. Look, I know that a lot of therapists are booked out and difficult to get into, but don't let that stop you from getting the support that you need. The cost is less than half of what Zach and I charge, which is kind of unheard of. And when you register with BetterHelp, you are supporting Marriage Therapy Radio. Go to trybetterhelp.com MTR. So it's trybetterhelp.com/MTR to register with BetterHelp. TRYBETTER help, HELP.com/MTR, and you receive a special discount as a Marriage Therapy Radio listener. What do I do when my son wakes up in a crappy mood, or I wake up in a crappy mood? And it's from the get-go, first thing in the morning. Do you have any recommendations for having that greatest day mindset of something to do first thing in the morning when you wake up and you're just like, oh, don't want to be awake right now, and everything you do is drive me nuts?
Yeah. You get curious.
Okay.
We don't ask why. We ask what and how.
Okay.
Why are you mad? Why are you so mad? Look at our great house. Look at our this. Don't ask why. Ask what. Like, what was your dream? Well, I mean, it's interesting. It's a new day. Like, did you sleep well? Tell me a little more about this. Mm-hmm. Same with couples, same with all the same stuff, right? It's just, why can't you wake up mad? What's wrong with that?
Okay. All right. So being accepting of what's showing up, accepting the emotions for what they are.
If we make the greatest day mindset isn't, I got to reword it. Even on my shirt, it says, when I have it. It says choosing. I got to read it. Oh, the greatest day mindset. It's a lifestyle, a way of living every day with a positive attitude, no matter your circumstances.
Okay.
But I don't even really like that so much anymore because it's like, why do I have to be positive? Okay. Why can't I just allow space that I wake up on the wrong side of the bed, or you're 6, 7? Is he 7 now?
Yeah, he's 6. Yeah. Good.
All right. 6 going on 29.
Right.
Why can't he wake up upset? What's wrong with that?
That's so
Why do
true.
we have to automatically within ourselves or our kids or our spouse, why do we have to go in and be like, this is not okay to feel this way? Usually it's because we're not comfortable with them feeling that way. That's what it's really about.
Yes, it is.
Why not just give permission to say, yeah, buddy, some days are like that. It sucks. What do you think might, what do you think might add some joy to your day? Maybe we bake something today.
What do you have? You got what? You got 3 boys?
3 boys. 5 to 11.
Boys. 5 to 11?
Yeah. I bet there's a lot of energy, a lot of moods.
Boys are the worst.
No, they're not. Leave it alone.
No. But let me tell you something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm sure you've heard, if you've listened to the podcast, you know that I'm anti-boy, but I'll tell you this. Mine is 15 right now. I get up every single day at about half an hour before she does. I get a shower, I get dressed, I get ready to go. I have just kind of learned she wakes up in a bad mood every single day. Every single day. And so to your point, I just sort of said, I can go to war every day if I want to and be like, what's wrong with you? And I could even get curious. I could be like, what's your dream? How can we you want to bake something later? And all of that could be, but what I've basically done is just go, okay. I don't talk to her. I don't talk to her from the time I wake up to the time she gets in the car for me to take her to school. And that's just kind of the truce that we found, because again, I don't need to fix her. I don't need to change her. I don't need to make her stop feeling what she's feeling. It turns out she's just not a morning person,
Yeah.
But the other thing that I'm thinking about is thinking of, hold on, if he wakes up and he's in a bad mood, one of the things I would be interested in saying is, or one of the ways I could feign curiosity anyway, would be like, oh man, I wonder why today you got to wake up in a bad mood, but not yesterday. I wonder what's going on that we didn't I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
It stinks that you woke up in a bad mood today. Almost like your bad mood doesn't have anything to do with my bad mood.
Right.
But I like this. I mean, curiosity, I guess my point is curiosity should lead to wisdom, right? And the wisdom I've collected for the kid in my house who wakes up in a bad mood is I just don't talk to her.
All right.
That works for everybody.
And you're teaching each other that. You're like, the battle is not going anywhere. So why don't I get curious within myself, not even them? Like, why am I so bothered that they wake up angry or upset? Why does that, like you said, why does that have to affect my day? It doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm going to guard myself against that by getting in my focus journal and being grateful, celebrating myself. And
we're supposed to walk out the door at 7:30. I'm like, and I would get so angry when she would not be ready at 7:30. So now I just walk out the door at 7:30.
There's no way. Hold on. You're telling me that you get angry when somebody's not on time? Because I have been in a relationship with you, Zach, where one of us is always punctual and the other one not as punctual. I didn't realize that was all right. Okay. I have to go back, Craig, to this question because I said bad mood. And I think what the journal is here to do is to give you the greatest day mindset, is to put you in a place of gratitude. And I also hear you saying it's okay to be in a bad mood. It's okay to be in that place and experience those experiences, feel the feelings, get curious about them. So what am I doing with the journal? Am I exercising a muscle? I mean, I'm just kind of wondering, like you just told me it's okay to wake up in a bad mood.
I don't think it's necessarily okay. I got to be careful how I word that. To stay there all day long.
Okay.
I mean, maybe sometimes, but then we're talking about other things, right? Maybe there's chronic depression or anxiety.
Sure.
But it's okay to give that space. And here's the amazing part about therapy and about learning this emotional IQ stuff is when we create space for it, it's not as fun for it to stay there. Like when we give permission for the feeling to exist, this negative feeling, it's like, well, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I want to disrupt your world. And if you just accepted me, well, then I'm out of here. I'll come back later when I can mess you up. And so when we give space to it, it doesn't even hang out very long.
It's just, it lessens the power. I remember Brene Brown saying something about, as long as emotions stay in the dark and we don't talk about it and we try to ignore them or whatever, it gives them power. But the moment that we name them, it just totally takes the power out of it. And it's like naming and acknowledging and sort of accepting, like, yeah, you're in a bad mood. You're kind of crummy. There's less power there. And it leaves space for you to be able to lean into the gratitude and lean into joy.
Yeah. And I think the other piece is like, you can be in a bad mood, or you can be hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. You don't have to be mean.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I think that shows up for couples a lot for me. They're like, I'm so frustrated when I come home from work. I'm like, that's fine. Be frustrated. Be tired. You can hate your job. You don't have to be mean about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Ask for what you need, which maybe is your Mr. Rogers moment, where you go in and you like change your clothes and you sing yourself a little song and you kind of gear yourself up and you come back and go, okay, here we go. So
I've never heard that before. I love it though. I have a total visual, the Mr. Rogers moment.
Oh man, I use it all the time. Like he had a very, very specific transition from whatever he was doing before,
right,
to whatever allowed him to like engage in whatever was coming next. And we all remember it. And I think sometimes people need just to create those spaces to separate from, actually it can be the space from coming home from work to then interacting with your family, or the space between I feel upset, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. I feel like I'm in a bad mood and I need to interact with somebody.
Yeah.
Create a little bit of space in there. And then maybe you can still be kind or positive. I'm positive. I'm in a bad mood, but I love you still.
Yeah. Yeah. Not why am I feeling this? What is this telling me? And how can I meet that need? I love that. Like, that's what you're saying really is. What's the need going on here? My need was I needed more sleep. Okay. Well, can we work that in somewhere during the day? A little power nap or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I wanted to say one of the long-term changes to a gratitude practice is it starts to rewire the brain. This neuroplasticity stuff, right? And these parts of the brain that it triggers by practicing gratitude and positive affirmations is it helps us to enjoy or experience the positive emotions more often. It wakes that part up in the brain, this little part that says, like, we can be happy. We can find the good things in life. And it also wakes up kind of this resiliency part in the brain too, where we can withstand stress. So actually, when we do wake up in a bad mood, we can recover quicker. We can give it the space and we can move through it quicker.
This just reminded me, and I did I don't know if this episode came out. It was Simple Pleasures, where we did the waking up of the hands. So have you ever heard of the exercise, waking up the hands? It's an exercise, Craig, that I learned in sex therapy school. I don't know if I told you that. I'm in school again. Yeah. And the whole idea behind waking up the hands is you're really just waking up your pleasure centers to be able to find joy and pleasure in something super simple. And I will, like one of these days, I'll take you through the exercise, like 15 minutes, but I would grab something. I have my candle and my lighter right here. And you close your eyes and you just feel the sensation of this object. And when you find something that feels good and pleasurable, you have to find something pleasurable about it. You just kind of stay there. And one of the fun parts about that is that you find pleasure in anything, including a lighter, including, a carabiner, including anything, any normal object. You find pleasure in that one small thing. And then you realize, if I can find pleasure in this lighter by just rubbing it on my fingertips or rubbing it across the top of my hand, I can find pleasure and joy in just about any experience. And it just wakes up that pleasure center in your brain and helps you to lean in. And it's kind of incredible after this practice. I'm going to run you through it one of these days. You're going to love it. Is you find little moments where you're like, oh, that's nice. And then you go, oh, that's really nice. I'm going to sit in that for a second and really enjoy the fact that something lovely is happening to me. And it might just be rolling the window down and feeling the breeze on your face. An everyday experience that just becomes white noise. And now, because you've woken up that part, now you actually recognize this is pleasure. This feels good.
I like that.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's awesome. That's a really cool exercise.
Yeah, it's cool. And it's like a physical exercise, but I think that your book has a way of, like you said, the neuroplasticity. The journal has a way of keeping it front of mind when you're doing it on a regular basis, of continuing to use that part of your brain to find joy and gratitude and experience pleasure, where you're able to see it in other areas of your life.
Yeah.
I'm going to land this plane, but I do want to ask folks, like, if they're kind of curious, you're in Utah, but you're a coach. And so if people are finding you, where can they find you? Where can they find the Focus Journal?
Focus Journal is on my website, greatestdaymindset.com.
Okay.
And everything about me really is Greatest Day Mindset. So Instagram at Greatest Day Mindset. I have a podcast, the Greatest Day Podcast, which you've been on a few times, couple.
Yeah.
But I camp out on the gram way too much.
Do you?
I don't even have the blue check, Operation Blue Check. And I'm still on there way too much, but I love connecting with people there. And even if it's just little bits, right? Like there is this power though, when you get some skin in the game and you actually pay somebody to support and help you. That doesn't even have to be me, but I'm telling you, if we do that, and we can in a coaching or a counseling approach, real changes start to happen. It's pretty cool to see.
Like, rather than being a passive, you might have listeners who are like, hey, I've been listening to your podcast for years. Nothing's really changed. I listen to the information, kind of like what you said. Like, I'm on Instagram and I scroll. I have all these people that have these beautiful quotes on Instagram, but there's no skin in the game. You're not sitting down with pen and paper and saying, what does this quote mean to you? How can you actionalize? That's a word I just made up. Actionalize this quote. But like, the skin in the game is saying, this is a real priority, a real value to me, and I'm going to commit to it with the resources, time and money. Zach talks about those as the two primary resources.
Yeah. Well, there's just no accountability, right? Rather, it's not that there's no accountability. When you're paying somebody, there's accountability. Not only the person you're submitting to, but yourself, right? You just said, hey, I just spent $100 on this or whatever it is. 210,000, doesn't matter. Now I have to do something with it, make sure I steward this resource.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt if I just scroll past another post or, well, cool. There's another journal exercise from Craig. And
there you go.
I don't know, I'll get to it. You're coming back to me every week or every other week, and it's like, how's that exercise we talked about? And it changes the accountability to it. So, but Greatest Day Mindset, all things, like, that's where I'm at.
Right on. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining our podcast. I've been on your podcast. You've been now on our podcast. Zach, sorry that you've never been invited to be on Craig's podcast.
We're going to make it happen. It's going to happen.
That's okay. I'm happy to do whatever.
Zach's made it into my content more than once, though. Like, I have pirated his articles and used them in posts. And so, Zach, you're very present in my life. You just don't know about it. So we will make the conversation happen, because you've got great information. And thank you guys also for the space, the time, and not fighting. I didn't enjoy Mom and Dad fighting on that other episode.
Oh, come on now. Didn't it go well, though? It went well.
It was so good. Like, it was so good. It really was.
I have to close the loop on that, because we did get a question where someone said, hey, I didn't hear you apologize to Zach, Laura. Like, you kind of like talked about it, but there wasn't like an actual apology. Doesn't that feel important? It totally does. And the thing is, like, there's life that happens outside of the podcast between Zach and I, and there has been actually probably like a good handful of post conversations that have had to do with, hey, I just wanted to let you know, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I recognize, blah, blah, blah. That didn't happen on the podcast. And we're pretty stinking authentic people. And the podcast episode where Mom and Dad are fighting, that was happening in real time. That was the very first conversation. And Zach hates acting. And so we're not going to reenact an apology. But it did happen behind closed doors. We are still friends, sometimes more than others. But yeah.
I know the plane has landed, but love doesn't always show up. Love doesn't always show up or sound like I love you. And apologies don't always sound or show up like I am sorry. Like, I heard the apology.
I did too.
In the episode. So
yeah. All right, let's land this plane, guys. I got to go grab my kid he's at the pancake house with a friend this morning because there's no school. All right. Thank you, Craig. Thanks for joining.
Great. Thank you. See you guys.
Hasta. All right, there you have it. Craig Smith, Greatest Day Mindset. Make sure you pick up Craig's journal if you think that could be helpful to you, helpful to marshal your attention toward gratitude and positive energy. Make sure you follow Craig on the Instagram at Greatest Day Mindset. If you're new to Marriage Therapy Radio because of your familiarity with Craig, make sure you follow us on the Instagram. We're still on the hunt for our blue check. For now, I will say happy Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is this week. And if you happen to be listening to this after Thanksgiving, you can still be happy. You can still be thankful. I think the world needs more of us looking around, scanning the environment for things that are going well and going right, pointing them out and being grateful. I guess all that's left is for me to end by saying thank you for the time and attention that you spend on your relationship, making it better today than it was yesterday.